from St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
I'm Elaine Cha. In the beginning, there is a great idea. And under the right conditions and with proper support, that idea's got potential to grow into a bang-up business. But that space between light bulb and we have arrived can be long and hard enough to shut ventures down before they reach full potential. That's not good for St. Louis entrepreneurs or the region as a whole. Joining me in studio to discuss how the UMSL Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Accelerator is helping local business founders stay in business and grow them bigger and better is Michael Butler, Director of Operations at UMSL Accelerate. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Michael, I'd love to have you break down a couple things for us. UMSL Accelerate and UMSL Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Accelerator. What is each of those units, so to speak, and what do they do?
Okay, so UMSL Accelerate is basically the overall picture. That is basically my building, and we provide many services to our students, faculty, and staff. With UMSL Accelerate, we're very proud because we're unique than any other program throughout the country we found because we offer educate, collaborate, and innovate. Educate is the curriculum side. We have very good programs going into our marketing and entrepreneurship program with the campus. When we get into the next part, the innovate, under innovate, we are working with clubs outside the university, non-curriculum type programs. Mm-hmm. So we have the EIR program, we have our students clubs, the Entrepreneur Student Club, we have our Entrepreneurs in Residence and so on. And then we get to the big one out there, and that is going to be our Collaborate. And under there, we have our DEI Accelerator program, And with the Accelerator program, that's where we go out and we work with businesses and organizations in the community. And from there, we're able to work with our sponsors, and we provide funding for them, which is an injection. So there are sponsors right now. We're very grateful to sponsors like Edward Jones and Anheuser-Busch and to Ameren UE. Sorry about that. And those sponsors are allowing us this year to have 6 founders. And those 6 founders are getting $50,000 each.
That's quite a pot of money there.
It is. And we're really proud of it because this is our third cohort. And with this third cohort, we are now happy to say we have provided funding to 17 founders in the region.
That's fantastic.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So as you noted, UMSL Accelerator is in its 3rd year. What lessons have come out of supporting businesses founded by folks specifically from underrepresented communities?
Yes. We found the businesses have really been instrumental in the community and for the individuals. As I always mention, being an African-American or a person of color, I know how hard it is to get started. I started my first business in '96, and I struggled. I struggled to get the right support. I struggled to try to get that funding, and it just wasn't out there for me, and it did not really grow much. When I found out what the Accelerator is doing, it's helping with the community, with the growth, and giving the right resources. When our founders enter the program, they then become part of an 8-week program. We provide them with 2 paid student interns. So now we have students that are getting paid $3,000 to work with these founders. Also, on top of that, we're bringing in great mentors from the community and coaches, and they are working with them to push them in the right direction. And finally, I am so proud because UMSL has, I think, some of the greatest faculty and alumni around, and that is giving us a great opportunity to find the resources to help our founders to go forward.
That sounds pretty stacked then.
It's really stacked, and we've learned a lot over the years. Each year, we get better. So this year, we're building better. That's what we're looking to.
So as you build, UMSL, University of Missouri, St. Louis, is the public university,
yes,
the big one here in St. Louis. There are private universities around, but this is the public one. With that in mind, what is UMSL's stake in the success of Accelerator grantees?
Thank you for asking. We feel because we are a public university and we have a footprint in North County, right here in St. Louis, and we are very unique because the Metrolink comes to St. Louis. We're right at the airport and all. And we know that our footprint is important to folks and to businesses. And what we're really proud of is, like, I'll take one, for example, Ferguson. Pop Parade has opened up in Ferguson, right next to the police station, basically, where everything has happened. And it's rebuilding that zone. And not only has he opened a store, has great growth there, he has now opened a second location in St. Charles.
And what is Pop Parade?
Pop Parade is a popcorn store. If you're addicted to popcorn, you have to go try it. He's like the Baskin Robbins of popcorn.
Okay.
And then we're really proud of, that was in cohort 2. In cohort 1, we have Flipstick. And Flipstick is taking off tremendously. It's becoming a worldwide product. But what I love about it is he's basing things here in St. Louis.
Right. And Flipstick is a
device to go on your cell phone, to give like a kickstand for your phone, stick it on the wall, and so on. So you can find him. Recently, he just got on the QVC and so on. So we feel that, by UMSL being part of this, it is really helping the St. Louis community to grow. And that's what we're all about, growth.
All right. Well, we're going to hear a little bit more about growth. You've covered the edible and the practical. We're going to talk with a couple of grantees now. We have 2 of them who have been awarded these UMSL Accelerator awards. We have Cami Thomas, who's the founder of the creative firm My Friends and I. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Kay Wells, founder of Posie Pots.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, both of you. Kay, let's begin with you. Tell us about your company, Posie Pots. Tell us what inspired your business.
Yes, thank you so much for the question. I started Posie Pots in 3D prints because I wanted to introduce the world a new way of growing both indoors and outdoor plants. Growing can be a bit intimidating, even for the avid grower or a new grower of plants and food. So what I wanted to do was to combine the two, the love of engineering and sustainment, science, technology, engineering, and math, and also the love of growing, gardening, food, and agriculture.
What does a Posie pot look like?
A Posie pot is a 3D self-watering planter. It looks like a outside 3D complex contour design. You can have them in any colors that you want. They come in 4 different sizes, and it's a pot within a pot within a pot. And it has a sub-irrigation self-watering system that only requires for you to water your plant, but once a month.
Wow, that's pretty low commitment. I mean, yes. I myself give myself a descriptor of human herbicide. So what you've created certainly sounds like something that would appeal to me. What was your aha or eureka moment when it comes to the creation of these pots?
So a little bit about my background and story is I had the best city mouse, country mouse upbringing. We had a backyard. It was full of like a garden, oasis of greens and reds and purples. We were just raised by a community of gardeners, farmers, nurturers, and we all were first generation from Mississippi. A family in one household full of 20 people under one roof by my empowering grandmother, Irene, which is Posie's daughter. She passed when my mom was a teenager, so I never met her, but her spirit and strength lived on within the love of our community, and her genes lived on within her children and within me. And I always had a curious mind, which was like early signs of my engineering degree. And I just remember the dreams of my elders, and fast forward, moving into adulthood, things like health, wealth, community, family genealogy, and the hopes of what I would want my future children to have. I took up gardening and interior plant design.
Well, it sounds like a growing idea with even more potential to grow. So it's great that you're receiving this support. Now, you're on a work trip talking water at an irrigation conference in Nevada. Will the funding and business training you'll be getting through the DEI Accelerator help you meet another or perhaps a different kind of work goal?
Absolutely. This grant and funding means like exponential growth. So with the funding, we plan to just expand our manufacturing space, hire more people, launch new products, do really cool, exciting production campaigns, just showing people how easy you can garden and grow. Our passion is to usher in this fourth industrial revolution through 3D printing and zero environmental waste, and then rolling in the whole STEM, 3D, additive, which is additive manufacturing, which is like a rapid, really quick way. Our pots, they go from nothing to a full 12-inch pot in 1 day or less.
Cami, your creative firm, My Friends and I, is a video production house here in St. Louis. Now, for those who don't know how video production works, can you describe what you and your colleagues do on a typical day?
Absolutely. So, with video, by the time you're sitting on the couch and maybe watching Hulu or a streaming platform or something like that, and maybe you see an ad go by, it might look interesting or look like, wow, this was maybe a complex commercial. But what actually goes into all that video is months of work. There's the pre-production, there's getting the crew together, the audio engineering, the lighting people, the gear, the truck that has all the flags and the silks and things that you use for lighting and things of that nature. So it takes a lot of work to make a video look good and look crisp and ready to either be streamed or used for a campaign. So, for us, the way that it comes together really is just from an initial discovery call that we'll have with the client and figuring out what it is that they envision and what the story is that they want to tell. And then we step in, see the best way to tell that story and to talk to that audience. And then we get to work figuring out the location, the treatments, the gear that's needed. There's a lot of pieces to juggle. And then in the post-production, getting the edit right, the music, the color that is used in the video and things like that. So there are a lot of steps to it, but by the time it comes out, people just get to sit and enjoy and see the final product.
I'm talking with Cami Thomas, founder of video production house My Friends and I. And also with us is Kay Wells, founder of Posie Pots, and Michael Butler, director of operations at UMSL Accelerate. We're discussing the UMSL Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Accelerator program and how its funding plus training approach supports next-level growth for local entrepreneurs. Cami, you were talking about all of what's involved in creating a video. Some of that work has happened, of course, here in town, and you've worked with several organizations. Why did you decide to apply for DEI Accelerator support?
That's a really great question. I've been working endlessly, tirelessly the last 3 years since I've been doing this full time, and it's a lot of work. And we do great campaign work, and then myself as an individual director, I've even worked with other production companies, to be brought on as a director for different ads and things like that. So at this point in my career, I know as a singular individual, I could, make a living, make products and things like that. But it's important to me to, one, not put all the work just on my shoulders, because as it is now, it's me, one other employee, and then really we're contracting with people. So it's not sustainable for me to be the one shouldering that. And then two, I want to make a more concentrated effort to really build the industry here, right? Because when we're doing a production, especially if a company is coming here to St. Louis to do that production, that economic ripple effect can be felt from the moment they land until the moment that we're done. That means, when there's an ad, they're hiring St. Louis talent, St. Louis caterers, staying at St. Louis hotels, taking St. Louis-driven Ubers. And I want the impact to go past just me and my immediate people who are, as a part of my crew. And in order to do that, it can't just be me, emailing old colleagues and kind of the marketing outreach I've been doing, which is very word of mouth, in order to grow and to scale and make it really a a huge impact, and frankly, for my friends and I to become a media staple and powerhouse here in St. Louis, I frankly need help. I've just been kind of doing it alone, and with my friends obviously being on set with me, but as far as the work, the administrative, the accounting, all of that, I wear all of those hats right now and have for the last 3 years. So in order to scale, it needs to be a bigger effort, and I have a lot to learn. And with this program, I'm excited to see what comes with it and how we grow in the next few years.
As the founder of a creative company, what do you think you'll gain from the DEI Accelerator that may differ from what other founders with tangible products like pots or food, as with previous grantees? How's it going to be different?
I'm excited to see how it'll be different. I think what comes to mind first, though, is that there really are endless possibilities to what we could do. The way that we are able to scale up is a little bit different than if we were selling a tangible product, because the way we plan to scale is by having more projects on our books, but then also bigger projects, right? Like if an average budget for a video now might be 20 or 30,000, the commercials that you see for the World Cup or the Super Bowl, those are multi-million-dollar commercials, right? So the possibilities are not necessarily, hey, let's just get more work and fill our books. It's more of how do you scale up, make better and better work each time, which is where we've been stuck now with the capacity that we currently have. It's easier to take on more projects, but to start taking on these, multi-million-dollar type of commercial projects, that's a really big jump to happen. So I think what'll be different is having a different set of KPIs or, key performance indicators that tell us what does growth mean for us. And it's not just more, it's, an increase in quality of work, not just necessarily the quantity.
So better is certainly part of it.
Yes.
So for both you, Cami, and Kay, you have already established your ability to build something from the ground up with your own two hands, and you've gotten the recognition and appreciation that's your due, especially as two individuals creating and making things that are so distinct. And this grant, it is an accelerator versus a starter, and that certainly seems to align with where you want and are ready to go. Right about this time in development of businesses, and sometimes of ideas too, St. Louis often does see companies go. That is, they leave for so-called greener pastures in other places. Kay, what is keeping you in St. Louis?
I love St. Louis. St. Louis is home. I, as an engineer, as a mechanical and aerospace engineer, I have traveled to California, to Arizona, all over, almost all of the states, and I always come back home. We've actually lived in other places, but I always feel like St. Louis is home base. There's so much history there. There's so much camaraderie there. There is so much culture, so many talented people. The energy is just electric. And so I enjoy St. Louis. It is, someone asked me while I'm here in Nevada, someone asked me about St. Louis, and I said, it's like no other place. So I enjoy working with the people that are in St. Louis, networking, building wealth, building health. It's just a great home base to always come back to and to continue to grow and give back to the community, give back to the people, give back to the economy. It's the best place to be.
And Cami, how about you? What's keeping you here in St. Louis?
Similar thoughts as you, Kay. There's something about St. Louis. I don't know if there's a magnet underneath the ground or like in the concrete that paves our roads or what. But I always end up back here. I went away for college. I'm born and raised in St. Louis, but I went to New Orleans for college, and I came back for a few years, and I left to Chicago just for a few years. But something's always called me back here, and there's no place on earth like this place. It's just it's fertile ground. Sometimes I feel like St. Louis is like Play-Doh. You can create whatever you want, make it whatever you want. You get to have a bigger stake in the way the city ends up than any other place. You could go to a bigger city, even like a New York or an LA, and, maybe become part of the fabric that's already been woven, or you can be here and actually be the one doing the weaving and the building and the planting and the nurturing. And I'd much rather be on that side of things, maybe even just from an artistic standpoint. My St. Louis is my city, it's my state, but it's my country. It's my center of gravity is here. My parents, grandparents, great-grandparents were all from here. I've got St. Louis tattooed on my hand. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Permanent ink.
Yeah.
That's a commitment. Mm-hmm. And Michael, I've been seeing you smile throughout, all of the things that Cami and Kay have been sharing. Now, barring extraordinary circumstances, next year we'll bring in a fourth cohort of DEI Accelerator grantees through UMSL Accelerate. Do you have any insights or maybe hopes for the ways that the program or the initiative itself can grow and expand?
One of the things I look forward to for Cohort 4, if we're fortunate to have this, which I know we will, is we get support from our former founders. And so Cohort 1 was always there with 2, and I noticed the announcement, we had the cohorts coming in to support the others, and that is going to be very instrumental for them to go forward and for the success of the program. So as long as we continue to make friends, we continue the investments that are coming into us, we're going to do what our chancellor says, we're transforming lives, and that's what we're very proud of doing at UMSL.
And it sounds like you are building a certain kind of generational wealth through the program. That's great. Michael, Kay, Cami, thanks for joining us today. Michael Butler is Director of Operations at UMSL Accelerate. Cami Thomas and Kay Wells are two entrepreneurial founders who've been named recipients of grant funding and business development training through the UMSL Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Accelerator out of the University of Missouri, St. Louis's School of Business.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.